Hello and welcome back to the Performance Centre here at Howley Hall Golf Club in Leeds. My name is Ryan Rastow, I'm the PGA professional here and the equipment expert for Golfshake.com. Now we've got a very different video to bring you today, and one that, to be honest, I'm a little bit sceptical of. So we've been sent a box of the new Tour Flex Pro spikes from Softspikes to have a bit of a go with, really, I suppose, put in our shoes and test and see. But they're making some fairly bold claims about how good these spikes can be. Now, many of you will think it's just a spike, Ryan, and to be honest, that's what I think as well. But we're gonna test this today. We're gonna see what difference these soft spikes can make, if any, to our swing speed, to the traction that we get, and also the dispersion. So some of the claims that are being made by Softspikes, they've had a test done, and an independent test over in the US, against using spikeless shoes versus shoes with these spikes in sort of wet conditions and wet grass. Okay, so we would expect there to be a difference anyway between spiked and non-spiked in those conditions, but how much? Now, what they're saying is basically when they've tested this with tour players and players with tour level swing speeds, so above 110 miles an hour with a driver, they're seeing nearly a 60% better dispersion on driver and also 5 yards in driver distance. Now, we're gonna basically try and do a test in here today in the Performance Centre where I've got two pairs of identical shoes. I'm gonna leave the normal spikes that have come in the shoes in one pair, and I'm gonna put the Tour Flex Pro in the other pair. We're gonna hit some drivers, hit sort of 5 or 6 good swings with each, do a bit of a comparison and see if there is any difference between a brand new set of spikes going in the shoes and the Tour Flex Pro ones, and also an older set that I've had in for probably about 4 or 5 months in the other pair of shoes. They're both the same shoe, so the Quater shoe that I've got. In terms of what this spike is really, so I've got it's the fast twist fitting that I've got in here, but they are available in loads of different ones. But also you can see we've got the kind of sting around the outside and the slight sort of spike in the middle there of the spike there in the middle of the cleat. So this should deliver quite a bit of traction for us, even though we're hitting them inside on the mat here. I have tested these outside as well and found them to be very good, and I've played in some pretty horrible wet conditions here in the UK over the past few months, and the pair that I've got, I've had these in for a while because we've been fortunate enough to be sent quite a few spikes that we can try in our shoes. But I've not really noticed out on the golf course that kind of performance difference, but I suppose I've not really been comparing it against anything else. So let's get into the Performance Centre, hit some drivers and see if these spikes can change a game. So we're going to start off by hitting just a few shots with driver, with just the standard spikes I've got in my shoes as normal. So they're just a normal sort of soft spike that comes in these shoes as a standard. So we'll hit a few, get a bit of a baseline for how far we're going, the sort of club head speed we're getting, etc. And also have a look at the dispersion and see what difference it makes when we change shoes and spikes over, just to see. And now, as you can see, exactly the same driver, but I've changed my shoes. I've got a brand new set of the Tour Flex Pro spikes in my shoes. Let's see if that makes a difference when we're hitting shots in here. Whilst we know that the ground conditions in here are pretty much perfect, they're going to be a bit different outside, we should still see some performance increase. Now, obviously the tests that were conducted for soft spikes have been on wet grass with a pair of shoes with these spikes in versus a spikeless pair. So you should see more of a difference. But it'd be interesting just to see if we do see any difference inside like this. So let's have a quick look at what we've seen with the results. Now I've just hit sort of 4 or 5 pretty good swings with shoes on with the spikes in, and also with just the normal soft spike. So let's see how that Tour Flex Pro spike measures up really. So if we look at my standard driver, we can see swing speed at about 113.3. We can see it's gone up a little bit with the Tour Flex Pro, 113.9. And it's not because I've warmed up more. I've been hitting balls all day in the Performance Centre here doing reviews for other clubs and stuff. Now we can see in terms of carry, I'm getting a little bit more, about 5 yards, 6 yards-ish. And total distance has gone up by about 7 yards, yeah? So there is a bit of a difference there. I'm not saying it's all down to the shoes. I might have just caught a few a little bit better, but that is the only real variable that we've had there. We've used the same golf ball, the same tee, and the same person, obviously, hitting the golf shots. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm not the most consistent player in the entire world. I am a golf pro, but I'm going to miss the middle of the face sometimes as well. But it gives you a bit of an average as to what's happened with these. I did feel more stable hitting in them. There's no two ways about it. Hitting particularly sort of transferring weight onto my left side felt a little bit more, it just felt like I could hit into my left leg a little bit harder and it wasn't going to move. I don't know whether it's just because they're absolutely brand new spikes that I've put in these shoes. It almost felt like having a brand new pair on really, but they were definitely grippier than mine. And it's interesting, I mean, that we know that a lot of the power in the golf swing comes from the ground, yeah? So we can basically generate lots of swing speed from there, and if our sort of traction isn't good enough and the kind of energy transfer is not good enough and the ground reaction force isn't good enough, then we're not going to get a golf swing that's fast, and that translates into obviously ball speed at the end of it, and also distance. So we know that any time we can improve traction, improve our sort of contact with the ground and improve ground reaction force, we're going to get longer shots and higher club head speeds, and certainly any sort of small percentage that you can gain with that could help. I'm not saying it's the be all and end all, but certainly from the test that we've done here, we can see a little difference between when I've had normal soft spikes on and when I've had a brand new pair of spikes. That might say more for having a look at the state of the spikes on your shoes and seeing whether they need replacing than it does actually the type of spike that I've put in here. But like I say, that was the only variable that we had, and we can see a slight increase in both speed and also overall distance. We can see the dispersions are pretty identical. I've hit the ones when I've had the Tour Flex Pro spike on. I've hit one a little bit further left, but then with my shoes on, it's gone slightly further to the right. So the dispersions are pretty much the same, but in terms of the performance and the distance that we're hitting it, we can see there that there is a little bit of a difference, okay? It was great just to test these and see if there was a difference. I wasn't expecting to see anything really in the two, but we can see there is a slight one there. So it might be time for you to go out there and either get a new pair of shoes or change the spikes in your current ones. And certainly from the testing that Softspikes had done to verify this, they've tested it against spikeless shoes. So if you're a player who uses spikeless all the time and you go out in wet conditions, you are going to see a huge difference between how far you hit the ball and also the dispersion in your shots. The testing that they've done tightened that up by nearly 60% in higher club head speed and sort of better players, if you like, so tour quality players with high club head speeds saw nearly a 60% difference in dispersion. Now that can change your game completely. Hopefully you've enjoyed that, and we'll see you all very, very soon.